D.F.L.A. We're basically a newly formed organisation that are focused on matters in today's society that we feel are totally unacceptable, out of control, and are not being addressed by the powers who are there to protect and serve us in our day-to-day lives. Delegates from the D.F.L.A. travelled to Rochdale and met with PAG UK, in particular Billy Howarth and Linda, who's standing here today, and received graphic accounts of past cases. These were discussed at length, and it was made quite clear that this is still continuing to this day. There are known hotspots and rape houses in the town that are going unchecked. We sat in Telford last Friday with Billy, and he showed us a couple of cases that are ongoing. I won't go into detail because obviously we've got to be careful what we say, that they are alleged cases. We started our campaign support for the victims of child abuse over 2 weeks ago in Telford, and we've been successful in supporting the call for an independent public inquiry which will focus on both historical and current sexual abuse and exploitation of the children of that town. I attended the meeting. They announced last week there would be an EGM, extraordinary general meeting, and everybody was in agreement that they'd go ahead and support this inquiry. Seriously, the guys that were in Telford and everybody else who supported us online, it's down to your perseverance and you turning up and everything, so I think all deserve yourselves a clap for that. So the barbaric nature of how the youth of our country are and have been treated goes beyond mere words. It is sickening, and the way in which the authorities have handled this subject is tantamount to gross neglect and dereliction of public office. This is not an isolated situation, it is the length and breadth of our great country, and the time has come to help each and every one that has been affected. This includes the families who've been failed. Rochdale as a community has been failed, and still to this day they're being failed. Why have they been failed? Is this due to the lack of people in power taking notice and doing their jobs? Countless, dare I say it, Labour councils have stood by and allowed the systematic rape and abuse of our children. These children, who are our future, have grown into adults and have lacked the support and justice they so truly deserve. Their crime? To be brought up in a society that has failed them time and time again. It's okay. I can hear the comments in the hallways of power in Rochdale's Labour County Council. They are nothing to the community. They will not bring us votes. And after all, it's child prostitution. Please do not fob us off that it's not been said. It is well documented. It's out there in the press. I, for one, it's the last time I'm going to mention the word child prostitution. I think it's just abhorrent that people are being labelled as prostitutes. So my next paragraph is that not a crime in itself. The word child and sex should never go in the same sentence. To say they were child prostitutes and they knew what they were doing again should never be allowed to form the basis of any decision by the powers that be. The administration of alcohol to a minor is a crime. The administration of both prescription and illegal drugs to a minor is a crime. Possession of illegal drugs is a crime. So if we can't get these people on child sexual exploitation, let's nail them for the other crimes that they're committing. Yeah. So we ask a further question: why the alleged perpetrators have not been arrested for these crimes that I've just mentioned? Any child under the age of 16 is exactly that, a child. They cannot consent to any sexual activity with a person above the age of consent. This again is a crime. To be treated like a commodity and handed around systematically on an industrial scale, has been mentioned by Justin and Gerard earlier on, right under the nose of the authorities, just beggars belief. I would ask the authorities, how do you sleep at night? Do these lives not matter? Yes, we hear you say they do sleep well at night, and these lives obviously do not matter. Your duly elected council have a duty to serve. The police have a duty to protect and serve, and the children's services have a duty to protect and serve the vulnerable in our society. We've been reading and hearing on far too many occasions that these children are wild and are out of control. They are past caring or cannot be helped. What complete and utter rubbish. These children are, as the word states, children. There are currently 2 independent investigations which are not aligned to any ongoing police investigations, which are very sinister, to say the least. I have to say they're alleged, because I saw them, and I'm not going to comment because I don't want to compromise the investigations that are going on. It is also alleged that there are properties owned by elected members of Rochdale Borough Council that are being used by the gangs for the use of CSE. Why is it after past failings that CSE is still going on in the Borough of Rochdale? You as the leader of Rochdale Borough Council are there to protect and serve all of your constituents, not just the constituents who live comfortable lives, but the less fortunate, underprivileged and the most vulnerable, especially the children. As Justin said up there, I'm sure the chief superintendent, what have you, if it was happening to his children, there'd be a totally different outcome. So I ask the question, why are you failing these people? Why are we not seeing more arrests along with more cases submitted to the CPS? We feel that you are blind to what is clearly still going on in your town. We at the D.F.L.A will not go away. We will return to Rochdale again and again. We will visit towns and cities up and down the country where the systematic rape and sexual abuse of our children has and still continues to this day. This is not about left or right, it's about what is right and what is wrong in our society today. We look forward to showing us the courtesy to reply to our letter. So I want to say one final thing for any people out there who are watching this today. We've created a website, dfla.rochdale@gmail.com, and we encourage any survivors, any victims or any of the families to come forward with their stories. We've got a dedicated research team sitting in the background, some who have gone through this in the past. I say very sympathetic here. We want to help you. We want to give you guys some closure and maybe make the insurers give you some sort of compensation. I know that doesn't make up for the horrible dreams and your thoughts that go through you every day. So with that, I'll hand you over to maybe Linda to say a few words on the outcome of today.
I don't know if I'll be able to shout as loud as Jim, but I'll try. I want to thank everybody for coming today to show support. I've been on this for 23 years with one man, Martin Deegan, and he can't be here today, but I'll be on the phone to him later and tell him what's happening. What I want now is I want to see arrests made for those who knew what was going on and wouldn't do anything about it. The times that I've been places, I've been followed, I've been threatened, I've had strange phone calls, I've made complaints, and this is what I've found out they thought of my complaint.
Irrelevant.
Irrelevant.
That says irrelevant for anyone that can't see the back, the piece of paper she's holding up.
My complaints about what was happening to those kids at Norview. Irrelevant.
Says it all.
Hold it up this way.
That's why we're here now, though, isn't it?
It is.
It's the whole reason.
23 years I've been on it. I thought of those on my own.
Not on your own, no more.
You know.
2 weeks ago, I came here with John. John filmed Linda and Billy from UK on those steps over there. And when, after Gerard speaks, I'd like to ask you all to go and let us film everyone outside those steps and see how many people are here now, because there was 2 people 2 weeks ago. We came here for you, Linda. I'm proud of that, right? Can I just start with one little thing? Right, I would like to thank the police liaison officers who facilitated this today so that we can have a peaceful protest and bring this here. So I'd ask them to round the police because without them facilitating this, and it makes it our peaceful protest, we like to cause disruption, and get as much and gain as much publicity as we can for your cause and for the people of Rochdale. But at the same time, we do it without any violence and without any arrests. They're peaceful protests, and that's what we do. Secondly, I would just like to let everyone know what we're trying to do here. I'd like to thank every single one of you people that have turned out today to support Linda and support the people of Rochdale. So give yourself a round of applause, please. Thank you for coming. Secondly, I'm going to introduce you to Gerard Batten in a minute, who's going to come and talk to you, because all of us being here and all of these things that are happening and going on, we need a voice. And this man here, Gerard Batten, is a voice that can get this out there and help people make a change, because us, we can march, we can do things, but we need a voice, and a voice in Parliament that will help change things. And this man's got the balls to stand up and do it, and we need to get behind him.
Bulldog Batten!
Bulldog Batten, right? But one last thing, we're just trying to do something at the moment.
Calling him Bulldog
Red
Batten.
Pill Phil, and all you guys and social media guys, the veterans, the D.F.L.A, all of the social media outlets we've got, we're trying to pull them all together so that we can drive traffic, and we've got people in the background doing this now, social media experts, that are going to drive traffic, and we think we can drive 2 million people to all these social media platforms at UKIP and at Gerard Batten. So let's get behind Gerard Batten, please, and welcome him to Rochdale.
Can you hear me all right, everybody? Right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming today. And I was very pleased to be able to accept the invitation to come and speak for Parents Against Grooming and to meet Linda. And I think Linda is the one that should be commended, because she's had a lonely fight for 23 years to bring justice for the crime that was committed against her son and her family. And this is what today is about. It's about injustice, because it's bad enough that something happens which is criminal and unjust and damages somebody's life. But what is worse is when that's covered up by the very authorities that should be actually taking action to prevent it and to convict those guilty of criminal offences. So she is a heroine that needs to be applauded, I think.
And there's more people like you, Linda. If there's more people like you, this country will be a better place.
And there are lots of people up and down the country who've had this lonely fight. I think if you didn't know that this was true, you'd find it very difficult to believe it. And I think a lot of us did over the years, because we think, ah, yes, this is isolated groups of paedophiles, it's bound to happen, they'll get caught and they'll get convicted. And what's coming out now, more and more, is that this is actually a systematic, industrialised process all over the country, and the lid can no longer be kept on it. And the authorities have to take action. Now, what is the one common denominator in most of these cases?
Islam.
No.
Labour Council.
Well, let me get what I think is the political common denominator, not the ideological one, because you get these kind of things happen in all communities. But where it's happening most is in local authorities controlled by Labour councils. And if you look, there's about 40 different local authorities where there have been investigations and convictions, and I think 37 are Labour, one is Tory and Labour, or Liberal and Labour coalition, and 2 are Conservative. Now that tells you that there's something wrong with the politics. And if you go on voting the same way, you will get the same thing. If you carry on voting for these people, then they will continue to cover up their past mistakes and continue not to take action against the people they should be taking action against. So think very carefully how you cast your votes in these local elections, and why are you going to vote for people who are just going to cover up what's gone before and protect those who are still doing it. And it is a national scandal. I think in years to come, when the history books are written, it will be difficult to believe that this actually went on in a civilised country, where vulnerable children, and especially young girls, are being systematically exploited on an industrial scale for money. And I don't even think it's about perverted sex. It's about sadism. These people are having, especially these young girls, are having their lives destroyed, deliberately destroyed, by sadists who actually enjoy doing that. Well, what do you do in a civilised country with people like that? You stamp down on it and you stop it, and you take whatever is appropriate legal action in terms of sentencing. And we'll all have our opinions about that, I'm sure. This latest report that's come out today, of course, only goes up to the 1990s and focuses very much on Cyril Smith. And We saw, some of you will have seen the Panorama programme, I'm sure, of 2 or 3 years ago, when it uncovered what happened with the Cyril Smith investigation. And what was appalling about that is that police officers, ex-police officers, testified how they'd arrested him, taken him to a police station, and then were told that they couldn't prosecute him. And these were outraged police officers who wanted to do their duty. Now, who has the power to say to a police officer, you cannot prosecute somebody who's been caught in the commission of a crime?
Corrupt politicians.
And why would they want to do that? Well, you might assume, if you were making assumptions, that it's because that if Cyril Smith had been in a court, he might have sung like a canary and implicated some other people that didn't want to be implicated. I'm afraid that that is the kind of assumption that you would draw from that kind of cover-up. And we know that this kind of thing has gone on in other contexts. For instance, in Northern Ireland, where the security services were fully aware that this was going on, but were happy to let it happen because it compromised certain politicians from different sides of the political divide. And I wouldn't want to be in a security job where you had to make a decision about what was good for your security measures and ruining young children's lives. And thank God I never had to make a decision like that, but I think the decision they made was a wrong one. So where do we go from here? I said to you that this is about injustice. What's worse than a crime and an injustice? And that's not getting justice at the end of it. You can't give back those people that part of their lives which has been taken away. But I'm sure that anyone that's had a crime like this committed against them, the one thing that they would want is that it doesn't happen to somebody else. So what can you do to make sure it doesn't happen? Well, you can raise your voices as you've done. That's happening up and down the country. And from my point of view as a politician, I would say don't vote for the people who allowed it to happen. I'm asking you to vote UKIP in this local election. Our councillors elected here and elected elsewhere will make sure that they shine a spotlight on this, and they will not let it rest. They have nothing to cover up. They have nothing to prevent you knowing what happened. So that's what I'm going to ask you to do. And if you really believe that, come out with us after this and put some leaflets through letterboxes. We need it done for our candidates this afternoon. So thank you very much for turning up. Thank you to Linda and everybody else that's had a hand in this over a long period of time. And God bless you, and let's make sure that this kind of thing is stamped out in our country.
Listen, before we disperse, we start putting leaflets out. Yeah, I would appreciate them people putting leaflets out. Right, we go all over the country doing this. Yeah, it costs 20 quid to join that party. If you want change, put your money where your mouth is. If you don't bother coming next time. Simple. Yeah? We're going to go over there 2 weeks ago.
Hold on, I want to speak, please.
Oh, sorry. Leaving you.
There is only one Dan. There is only one Dan. Before I speak, where's Lee? Where's Lee? Lee, can you come up here? I'm going to speak briefly, but this is Lee. He's the chairman of UKIP in Rochdale. He's going to give you 3 or 4 words. Well, maybe a few more than that. Go on, Lee.
Very briefly. What we've seen of politicians, mainly on the left, but it's not just the left, it's the right. They have used the word racist to silence people. They've used the word racist against people, and they've belittled that word, and it no longer means what it used to. To speak the truth isn't racist, right? And you people who are putting your head above the parapet now and standing up and being counted, they'll come after you. So be ready for it, but speak the truth. Get out there. You know, you need a round of applause for yourselves, because you're standing up and being counted, and you're coming to help the kids of this borough. So well done to you. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Okay, my name's Alan. As you can see from this, I'm UKIP as well. I will be brief. I have read the stories of these girls. I've heard the interviews of the stories of the girls, and I know I'm exactly the same as you. I get very, very, very angry. And when I'm not being angry, I'm being sick. And the question is, when you get angry and when you feel sick about something that's happening, what are you going to do about it? Well, either we can riot on the streets with violence and let the establishment and the authorities know what we think about it, or we can have demonstrations like this. So this is fantastic. Thanks a lot to the D.F.L.A and to the veterans as well. You know who they are. This stuff, okay. Fantastic guys. Fantastic for doing it. For doing it here. That's fantastic. The other thing you can do is vote. Yep. Now this borough here is run by the Labour Party, and they're sick as dogs that have been running it for whatever. We need to get them out. Yep. We need to get them out to get people to vote. Yeah. Well, I think we need to get people to vote UKIP, of course. I think that, don't I? That's what the politicians will listen to. They'll listen. Do you know, 1 million people marched on the streets of London against the Iraq war, and what did Tony Blair do? He took no notice whatsoever. And that can be true of a demonstration like this one, or the one that was held in Telford. The politicians and the authorities could take no notice whatsoever. The one thing they will take a notice of is when you start taking their votes from them, because they're going to lose office. Now this is your chance, if you're here in Rochdale for the afternoon, to help out, okay? We want to turf the Labour Party out of there and get UKIP councillors in. So, now, if you're free for a couple of hours, straight after this, you're free, we from UKIP are going to be meeting down at something called the Ring a Bells pub in Middleton, okay? Remember that, you'll find it on Google, Ring a Bells pub in Middleton. We're meeting down there about 3/4 of an hour after we disperse from here, and we're going to hand out these leaflets. These leaflets make it absolutely clear that the Labour Party in Rochdale is responsible for these kids' wrecked lives, okay? So we're going to hand this around, and we need your help to get it out so people no longer vote Labour, but they vote UKIP, okay? Okay, so if you could come with us, we're really grateful. It's called the Ring a Bells pub. You'll find it on Google in Middleton, okay? There's other ones. Come along down there, about 3/4 of an hour. We'll be down there, and we'll give you a map. You can come and help us all distribute these in the houses around that area.
The drinks are on UKIP.
Oh, he's gone quiet there.
I'm going to ask you all to come over and stand outside that town
right in front of me,
so
didn't
that
he?
John here can finish a video that he started 2 weeks ago with Linda. You can all come over there and show me a little bit of support. It's
not far.
John, we're going to finish the video and start.
You cold, I'm freezing.
I can't feel it.
I know, he's standing still for so long, and it just takes effect, doesn't it? Wow. You're right, buddy. Not bad, pal.
Email address that you don't mind.
I have, yeah, I'm just recording at the moment. What I'll do, I'll come and speak to you in a minute. I just don't want to kind of discuss that over while I'm recording. Cheers, pal. Hello, pal. You alright, mate?
I knew about this because of you last night. I checked my YouTube notifications.
Alright, yeah.
I saw your latest video and I was like, oh, okay, I'll come to it then.
Nice one, mate. Nice one.
I haven't seen you for a bit of a while.
I know, it's been a while, mate. You were one of the originals when you seen me on that day. Yeah, I forgot that.
Video before, was that actually you?
Yeah, it was actually me, yeah. No, I watched it this morning, I seen it, I couldn't believe it was pretty shocking.
Oh no.
So...
You know what's hilarious as well, ironically? Like, when you look at the GM Police handle, it's just full of tweets about that. And you've been on like
not yet.
Say anything about it.
Yeah.
Acknowledged it.
Yeah.
They won't say anything.
There's an element of guilt there though, isn't there, Janaea? They know that they should be doing more about it, but it's easy to push you down and silence you. So, you know what? I'm going to stop this now, right? This Red Pill Phil, like and subscribe. I'm going to have a little chat with Janaea at some point. I've got about 3 or 4 people that I definitely want to line up a little chat with, and you're one of them, Janaea. But I want to give it justice because this is kind of like 25 minutes in the clip. So, right, we're just all gathering outside the town hall now. You can see there. What?
Oh, God, excuse me, is it a criminal offence to criticise someone's religion?
Obviously is, isn't it? Right, here we go. Red Pill Phil, like and subscribe, guys. More to come. More to come.